Well, good evening. I'm Rick Dancer, and welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. How'd you like my slide into that show? We've got a great show for you tonight. All kinds of stuff coming at you. Our show is sponsored by Chris Dental Family Dentistry, where everyone is welcome. Michael is one of our great sponsors, and in fact, he has a new commercial out, and I'm going to play that for you in just a little bit. But I also want to tell you our other sponsor tonight is Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning. Great people. If you are in the middle of the winter right now, you probably know if your heat pump broke. And that happens to me every time when it gets this cold. And so it's good to get on the regular program. That's what we did when we were in Oregon. Always on a regular program. So they're coming out at twice a year, checking your heat pump and making sure everything's going well. And they're good people, and they'll work with you. When I had my heat pump go out, I called them and they gave me a special price that I could give to the new owner. Didn't end up using it. They did another system, but it was nice of them to put some ease in my brain at the time. And our other sponsor is Transworld Business Advisors. Lonnie Woodruff is the dream maker. He's a guy who's awesome. He can sit down with you and help you kind of figure out what you want to buy. If you want to sell your business, he knows how to do that. He helps people kind of, that are in places. I think COVID has taught us all that it's time to go move on and do something different sometimes. I don't want to do the same corporate job anymore. So as he can sit down with you and help you kind of dream and come up with some ideas, and then he can actually lead you in. They have a whole bunch of people all over the country. He can lead you to the right place and where you want to be. So those are our three sponsors tonight. We cannot do our show without them. And so we are excited to have them with us. So let's just kind of kick off the show. We got Bill London tonight. We've also got some information with Kim Thatcher. She's a senator here in Oregon, very frustrated with the supermajority. We're going to talk with her a little bit later. And then we also have a special story coming out of Livingston, Montana. I met a guy at the gym, and he makes tiny homes, and he'll sell them in Oregon as well. So you're going to meet Cody Wood a little bit later in the show. So let's get that open going, and we'll check in with Bill London to find out what's going on in the news tonight.
Who puts up with this? That's what I don't understand.
Bring the lion out, bring the lion.
Tonight on our show, we're going to have...
Hey guys, don't you think it's kind of fun that you get to comment on the news?
There's a cost. Oh yeah, there's a cost. People come after you.
I think that's why this is so much fun, is because...
I'll see you at 5.
Good evening from the News Radio, 1120 AM and 93.7 FM, KPNW Studios. I'm Bill London. Happy Monday. Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin's bombing Sunday of Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, is garnering comparisons to Nazis' Germany actions at the start of World War II. Ukrainian Ambassador Sergei Kyslytsya said at an emergency meeting of the UN General Assembly today, indeed, very clear parallels could be drawn to the beginning of the Second World War. The most recent example, he continued, the Russian army shelled with multiple rocket launcher systems the residential area of the city of Kharkiv, the second largest city in the Ukraine. He says the level of threat to global security has been equated to that of the Second World War, or even higher, following Putin's order to put an alert to Russia's nuclear forces. What madness, he added. If he wants to kill himself, he doesn't need to use a nuclear arsenal. He has to do what that guy in Berlin did in the bunker in May of 1945. Kharkiv also came under intense rocket fire today as Ukrainian and Russian met peace near Ukraine border with Belarus. Those talks ended today without a deal being reached. Ukraine officials said dozens of civilians were killed and hundreds more injured in the Kharkiv attack after Russian forces bombed residential areas and apartment complexes. And Putin has tried to justify his attack on the Ukraine as an effort to denazify the country. Well, at least one aspect of the Russian war against Ukraine can't be compared to World War II, and that is Switzerland's response. The neutral country today announced it would adopt European Union sanctions against Russia over Putin's attack on freedom, an attack on democracy, an attack on the civilian population, and an attack on the institutions of a free country. Putin has responded to the sanctions from Western countries by ordering his nuclear forces be put on high alert. Now, the United States today ordered the expulsion of 12 diplomats from Russia's mission to the United Nations for engaging in espionage activities that are harmful to the U.S. national security, according to a spokeswoman for the U.S. mission to the United Nations today. The United States has informed the Russian permanent mission to the U.S. that we are beginning the process of expelling 12 intelligence operatives from the Russian mission who have abused their privileges of residency in the U.S. by engaging in espionage activities that are adverse to our national security. That, according to Olivia Dalton with the U.S. mission to the UN. All right, a little closer to home. Oregon and other West Coast states, namely Washington and California, have often been very similar in their mandates, restrictions, and guidelines in terms of COVID. Well, now all three states have said they will lift their mask mandate restrictions soon. Oregon Governor Kate Brown announced today that masking indoors will be recommended but no longer required as of March 12th. This comes after the governor in March announced that she would be doing away with the indoor mask mandates for public indoor spaces in schools on March 19th. Now that's going to happen on midnight, March 20th. Ben Gaskins, a political science professor at Lewis and Clark, says no one wants to be accused of playing politics with public health, but he stated the obvious, and that is all of these decisions are inherently political and are incredibly political because political actors are the ones making the cost-benefits analysis. Gaskin believes if the mask mandate is dropped, it would be harder to reinstate unless there's a dramatic change in the virulence of the coronavirus. And he says Brown, who is not up for re-election, is doing the obvious, not burdening the next Democratic nominee with the decisions that she's making. Well, Oregon legislators now would be making almost $63,500 if they vote to tie their salaries to the state's average wage, according to an updated report from legislative analysts. That's $6,000 more than what was originally calculated under terms of the proposed legislative raise. Now, a Senate committee advanced Senate Bill 1566, with proponents arguing the higher wages would improve diversity in the legislature and reduce turnover. At the time, the legislative analysts said passing it would result in lawmakers getting $58,500 a year beginning January of 2023. Right now, they make about $32,000. An updated analysis posted on Friday shows the average salary in Oregon last year was $63,464. So lawmakers' salary would be set to that amount beginning in January of 2023 if the bill passes. Their new salary would increase every 2 years if wages in Oregon increase, but it couldn't decrease more than 2 percentage points in a year, even if average wages fall. Now, keep in mind, only California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania pay their legislators more than $63,000 a year, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. Now, legislatures in those states, though, run full-time, all the time, while the Oregon legislature is in session for just more than 1/4 of the days in a 2-year period. The pay increase proposal is awaiting a hearing before the legislature's budget writing committee. So we are close to the waning days of this short legislative session, and here is a look at where some of the more contentious bills are sitting right now. House Bill 4002 would require overtime for farm workers. It has passed the Senate. It is now being debated in the House. House Bill 4079 would create a 3% sales tax to fund monthly checks to the homeless. That is stuck in committee. It's not expected to leave committee. House Bill 4133 allows people to submit Social Security data to third-party vendors as a way to register to vote. It has passed the House and the Senate, and it is now awaiting the governor's signature. House Bill 4147 allows felons to vote in elections. It is stuck in committee. Senate Bill 1511 would provide new trials for those convicted by non-unanimous juries. It passed out of the Senate committee. It's stuck in the Ways and Means Committee. It may still move. Senate Bill 1521 makes it harder for school boards to fire superintendents, and if they want to fire them without cause, they have to give them a 1-year notice. It's passed the House, it's passed the Senate, and it will go to the governor's desk for her signature. And then House Bill 1546 allows some flexibility in allowing research, use, and harvesting of Elliott Forest, which was taken away from local communities. It passed 2 committees. It has not yet been sent for a floor vote. And the candidates are raking in the dough for the governor's race, but what's surprising is that the supposed frontrunner, Tina Kotek, really isn't doing that well in terms of fundraising. So far this year, the number one fundraiser is Betsy Johnson at almost $4 million. Nick Kristof, who's disqualified from running, had racked up $1.5 million. Bob Tiernan, who recently joined as a Republican for the governor's seat, has over $1,036,000. Christine Drazen in fourth place has $1,015,000. And coming in at number 5, way back with having only raised just shy of $400,000, former House Speaker Tina Kotek. All right, there you have today's look at the news. And now it's time for a big, giant dose of industrial real with Rick. All right, Rick, it's time to get real from wherever it is that you happen to be staying in the back of somebody's garage in Montana.
It's not quite that bad. We're in a nice Airbnb in Livingston, Montana, and we're doing fine. But thanks, Bill. Hey, Dr. Bratlin and I were talking today, and don't you think we should ask? I think what we're going to do is have Bill go out and buy a wardrobe of Hawaiian shirts. And he's going to be the Hawaiian. You can have him wear Hawaiian shirts, and we'll just take it out of the Get Real with Rick Dancer budget and have Bill in Hawaiian shirts. If you like that idea, let me know. That will be awesome. So as you guys know, Dr. Bratlin, one of our big sponsors, and he just took out some new radio ads on KPNW. And I'm going to play them for you all this week. I have to stick them with video because the program I'm on will not let you and put it up with just the audio. But he has taken some real strong stands. And I know that bothers some people, but his business is booming, which is not why he does it. He does it because that's what he believes in. And I think in Oregon, it's time to start doing more of what we believe in. So here's his latest ad. I want you to see this.
This is Dr. Michael Bradley from Christendel. Very soon, our local school districts will be deciding if our children will continue to be forced to wear masks. Let's not let this continue. Making our children wear masks is child abuse. Depression, dropout rates, and suicide among school-aged kids has skyrocketed. And for what? There is no significant difference between schools that have had mask mandates and those that don't. It's all political theater. These mask mandates on our children must end now.
And it's funny, I just took this video because I needed something, but that is what Dr. Bratlin's crew does when they were at the height of the pandemic. And, it is a doctor's office, so you wear your masks in, and obviously when they're working on you, you don't wear a mask because it's really hard to do dental work when you have a mask on. You love his commercials, Gold Hunter? Yeah, I do too. I think he's really gutsy, and he's just hitting some. Well, you should hear some of the other ones. That's the mild one. But he has some other ones that he's got coming up here. Recently, a bunch of stuff has been going on in the Oregon Legislature, as Bill was talking. And I had a conversation last Friday with Kim Thatcher, Senator Kim Thatcher from up in the Portland area, about this power struggle in Salem. And I'm going to run that story for you. And I want you to stick around because at the end of the show, we have a story from here in Livingston, Montana, on a gentleman here in town who is building these really high quality, beautiful, tiny homes that you are going to love. And so stick around for that. But listen to this interview with Kim, and I think you'll get some other insights on what's going on in Oregon. And joining us now is Senator Kim Thatcher, who didn't use her senator on there because she feels silly doing that sometimes when we're just having a conversation. I totally get that. It's like, I think titles are interesting, but it also can get in the way of a good conversation. But you are a senator, and what district are you from? Yeah.
I've been representing Senate District 13, lucky number 13, which goes clear up the south part of Hillsborough down to Kaiser, where I actually live. And that'll change after the redistricting, if I get reelected.
So having you on here to talk about it's Senate Joint Resolution 202 that was brought up and then basically got killed. And the whole idea was to make people like our governor more accountable for what she's doing with these prisoners and letting prisoners go and try, or at least, working that direction. So explain to people what this would have done and why it got killed.
Well, what happened was we were trying to pull the bill. It got killed in committee because we have such deadlines. It's like if something doesn't get heard after a certain point in time, it's dead. If it doesn't get a work session after a certain time, it's dead. So we were trying to pull it to the floor. And so that's where it got killed, really dead. So I don't know, lack of determination. But what it would do is just it would allow the voters, it would have to be a change to the Constitution to say, yes, we would like our Senate to basically confirm or don't confirm that people who were going to get basically let out of prison early by the governor. So it gives some oversight to that. That's all it would do.
And because right now we're one of the only states that doesn't have that kind of oversight, and that's just insane.
One of very few. All it would do is just add another layer of accountability, and that just got shot down. In fact, I couldn't even describe while I was on the floor of the Senate, when we go to vote explanations, I couldn't even explain why I voted the way I voted. I got shut down there. That was really weird. That had never been interpreted that way before.
Because this would have to have been an amendment to the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And it would require that this would be looked over by members of the Senate. And what I think is interesting is right now, because there's a lawsuit against the governor for the way she handled this. So I would think, Kim, that this would also protect future governors from making that sort of an error. If you know what I mean? Can you have too much checks and balances? Maybe about 2 years ago, I would have said no. Today, I'm kind of leaning towards this guy who's, doesn't like a lot of rules. I think we need some more rules. And you and I weren't scheduled to talk about this. And if you don't want to, you can just say no. But I think we also need to look at this executive rule that the governor has used for 2 years to drag the COVID out.
That was an abuse too.
How does that never go back to the legislature? You know what I mean? How did that ever? That just flabbergasts me.
It is exactly the word I was going to say. It is mind-boggling how there has been absolutely no desire from the majority of legislators in the Capitol to push back on the governor. Not one time. In fact, they shut down every effort that the Republicans made to, hey, let's rein this in a bit. They just would shut us down. It is mind-boggling.
Are people afraid of her in the legislature?
I don't know. It could be that, but I really kind of chalk it up to complacency, a comfortably entrenched bureaucracy. They've had it for, decades now. So it's a comfortably entrenched bureaucracy. Just, let it go on through.
And to go against that grain, though, there's a lot of little end games that go on. So you can lose some of your power and your little, where you're going to sit, what you're going to do, and who's going to listen to you if you go against where, and that's even culturally, I think that was like that for a lot of us, is no one said anything in the beginning because you didn't want to be that guy or woman.
That's true.
anything
That's
else.
true. Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it, but comfortably, you don't want to buck up against your own party. That's uncomfortable right there. So I think when the party in power, the different has all the branches of government within a government, then it's more difficult to have one branch go up against the other one if it's the same party. It's just a little more difficult.
So talk to me about this $100 million that the Democrats in the legislature have now given to rural Republican districts, because we have so much money in the coffers. I wish I had all that money in my coffers, but I think most of us are paying it in inflation and gas prices and everything else, affordable housing that is not around, and we don't have that. But so they have $100 million, and they're making a big deal, and we're giving this to rural counties, which is great that these rural counties could use it. But does it seem kind of suspicious that this is happening in February, beginning of March, and we have a May primary coming up real soon?
Well, yeah, there's a lot wrapped up in that question. Yeah, $100 million. It makes me personally very suspicious. What are they up to? What are the ulterior motives? What the heck is going on? Are they really giving us an olive branch, or do they see the writing on the wall as far as what's happening? Or are they just trying to play it up for the primaries, talking about how, grandiose and noble and, gracious and giving they are? I don't know.
Because the problem in Oregon is, we know, and it's probably anywhere, but let's just talk about Oregon, is voters have a very short memory. And a lot of political people know that, if you do enough good at the end, people might you hope that they're going to forget what happened the last 2 years. What do you predict is going to happen in May? What do you think is going to happen in Oregon?
I think I would not be able to even begin to guess, because dynamics, attitudes, polling, all that seems to be changing a bit. And May is coming up really soon. And I don't think there's going to be that much of a memory loss between the end of, the beginning of March when we're out of session to the beginning of May when we have a primary. So I think that gap is pretty close. But it'll be interesting to see who wins the different primaries, and for governor especially.
Is that just the craziest thing? Because we have how many? I mean, you're one of the few Republicans not running.
Yeah, I know. Seems to be a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even tell you. It seems like every other day there's somebody jumping into the race. So I quit keeping track.
What does Oregon need, Kim?
Oh, we need more balance for sure. As far as our government is concerned, we need more balance. We need a government that will listen to the people, and not just Portland. I'm talking about the people around the state, and not just Portland. We have a very Portland-centric legislature and government in Salem. Portland has entered Salem, taken over.
You've seen this greater Idaho movement. That probably makes you nervous. It makes people nervous. It doesn't affect your district, but it does. Well, I guess it does. You'd be part of Oregon. But I mean, that has to speak, that should speak very loudly to the I-5 corridor and Salem in specific, saying, we have a group of people, and I think a lot of people miss this. They say, well, if they don't want to be part of Oregon, they should leave. That's not the point. And most of these people have been here for 200, their families have been out in Eastern Oregon for 200 years. They are so fed up with not being heard by the legislature and the I-5 corridor running the thing. How does somebody like you, who serves in a district in the I-5 corridor, how do you help them get their voice?
I think it's important, and I brought it up today with folks saying, hey, we've got a third of the counties in our state wanting to not be a part of our state. Don't you think we should hear from them? Don't you think we should have a hearing? Maybe there'll be other ideas on how to deal with this. Maybe there's a better way to solve the urban-rural divide. Let's hash it out. Let's have some informational hearings and let people talk, and let's listen.
I hope that happens, because, with all the cap and trade legislation, all these things that people think sound really good in the Valley, it needs to be considered how that's going to affect people out in the rural counties as well, because Oregon is mostly a rural state. I mean, people need to look at that.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of recalcitrance. It's like, well, that's not the way to do it. It needs to be done this way. Well, why don't we have a hearing? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the better ways. There's obviously some fed up folks out there and they need a voice. So let's give them one. Let's give them a megaphone, give them a soapbox to stand on and talk to us.
And then listen to them, right?
Exactly. That's most important.
So your big hope for Oregon, last thing I'll ask you, and I'll let you go. You got a busy day, but your hope for Oregon.
My hope for Oregon, I want to see people succeed in this state. And I get so many people writing to me saying, I can't do it anymore. I can't afford it. I can't find a job. I can't do, just so many things that affect people's lives that even though they've lived here their whole life or they're fifth generation, whatever, they're leaving the state. I don't want to see that. Our state is better when we have a mix of folks, including conservative, liberal, rural, urban. We need each other. And I am so tired of the division that keeps being sowed. And we need to come together. I mean, I say that I'm tired of the division, but it is there. It's constantly out there to stir us up. Color, one color against another, one religion against the other.
If you like police or don't support police, everybody. Adele got canceled for saying she was proud to be a woman. I mean, it's like, what comes next?
Yeah, it's almost sacrilege to refer to somebody as a woman. It's like, what? You don't know her pronouns. I mean, or this person's pronouns. You can't see her. But it is very, very difficult. It's like very difficult to navigate properly as far as the politically correct are concerned. And so when you're not politically correct, you get automatically put into a bin called, bad person.
Right.
Whichever ist you want to add to it. So
I'm just learning to be real comfortable there, not worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like, well, they're going to call you that anyway. So you might as well do what you think is best for the people. So,
well, Senator, thanks for coming on and talking to us. Thanks for serving Oregon, and good luck. You're in the fray of all of this stuff. And hopefully once the new, after May and then after November, hopefully we can get in and look at something like Resolution 202. We can look at some executive power issues, have a more balanced House, Senate in Oregon, and maybe get something done rather than have things shoved down our throat. I hope.
Yes, get something done that's positive for people. You know what? China gets a lot done. That's not the way to do it. We have to do the messy democratic process that we have it's messy, but it's really the only way to do it.
It really is, Art. I love that you brought that up at the end. It really is. There's countries that do make people do what they're doing, and that's what we're looking to become. That's what some are making us become. But I think we need to go back, and arguing and disagreeing is part of being an Oregonian, but we need to do it fairly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kim, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you later. All right. Again, we taped that up on Friday, and I really appreciate Kim's coming on the show and talking with us a little bit about that. That is a really big concern, is what happened to the democratic process. Now we just have a bunch of bullies that come on and try to shut you up and discredit you rather than having a real conversation. And it's insane. And that's why Kathy and I left. We were just done. We still fight for Oregon this way, but I can't live under that kind of tyranny. I've watched this happen for 30 years in the news business, and I can't live in that anymore. So we're not giving up on Oregon, but we're trying to, at 62, I want to find some people that are like-minded. And that's what we're looking for here in Montana. And I found somebody. So I was at the gym, and I'll tell you, this has been really interesting because being Rick Dancer back in Oregon and then being Rick Dancer here, we're walking around Costco, and I looked at Kathy. I said, it's kind of lonely. I don't know anybody, and you don't know anybody. We're used to people coming up and talking to us at the stores and stuff. And so it's kind of a whole new thing, but it's just part of this journey we're on. And but we have met people, and we really have met some nice people here in Montana, especially here in the Livingston area. The other day I'm at the gym and spot a guy and went up to start a conversation. You just have to find a way. You have to push yourself. And sometimes it's a little awkward, but you're walking up to people and just making conversation. I said, hey, that's a hell of a beard you got there. And his name's Cody Wood. And Cody and I start talking, and he says, I build tiny houses. I said, why? He goes, no, really upscale, nice, tiny houses. I said, why do you do that? And he says, because if I don't build some kind of housing, my kids will never be able to live here because the cost of housing in Montana is like Oregon, is just through the roof. So this guy's doing his own thing, building these tiny houses for people all over the world. Now, they're not cheap. These are nice houses. But I'll let you tell, Cody, I'll let you tell the rest of the story. But here is Cody Wood in Livingston, Montana, with his own company building tiny houses.
I am one of the owners of Woodland Ridge Tiny Home Crafters, and we build tiny homes here in Livingston. Right now, we're the only builder of tiny homes on wheels in the state of Montana, and we serve the whole Northwest. Yeah, so I've been here in Livingston for about 15 years now. About a year and a half, actually it's about 2 years ago now, myself and Rick Gilliland were talking about some business opportunities and things that we might want to do.
Yeah, this isn't your average.
No, that's what we actually strive to be, a luxury, high-end tiny home product. So,
How much do these go for? About.
I think this one is right around 90 is what this one was. I just quoted one, the gal wants one that's really big, and I think I quoted her at 183, but it's a huge one. It's about double this size.
Well, if you really want to know, we were out bear hunting, and we started talking about how cool it would be to build some tiny homes, and we started looking into it, did some research, thought there was a good market for it here, and we took off with it. A lot of people consider them just a glorified RV, and they don't realize that we have to build to the same standards that a site-built home is built to. We follow the same codes, have the same inspections, and so I don't think they really have a good understanding of how well built they are.
Right now, we could do probably 12-ish a year, give or take, but we are expanding. We just hired 2 new employees. We're talking about expanding our shop. Right now, we've just got a 40 by 40 shop, and we're talking about extending it another 60 to 100 feet. My middle daughter, she's a sophomore this year, and she's going to graduate high school here in a couple of years. And the reality is, she's not going to be able to continue to live in this community because of the expense of housing, whether it be rent, mortgage, whatever it may be. She's just simply not going to be able to afford to live as an 18, 19-year-old kid. So she's going to have to leave this community. And that breaks my heart that my kids are going to have to leave the community that I love so much because they can't afford to live here. And we totally recognize that tiny homes are not for everybody, but this is a solution for everyone because every person that lives in a tiny home frees up a standard home for someone else to live in.
You're working with some people to develop a community of these kind of.
Well, actually, there's a huge demand for a community of tiny homes, and we are working with a couple different developers right now to bring that to fruition. We hope that within the next year or so that we'll be able to have a really nice community of these. Yeah, so we're partnering right now with Villicus Farms out of Havre, Montana. And they have an amazing organic farming farm that they do there. It's like 13,000 acres and are one of the nation's leaders in organic farming. And Anna, one of the owners, contacted us almost a year ago now about doing a partnership with them. And so they sent down Ben and Landon about a month ago now. And we've been working together in a collaborative effort to build a couple homes for their workforce.
Okay, sure. My name is Landon George. I work at Villicus Farms in Havre, Montana. Yeah, so way up north in Havre, where the farm is located, where we live and work, there's no housing. So part of this whole project is we need some affordable housing for everybody that's up there working in the summers.
My name is Benjamin Clark. Last winter, I spent like 2 months just building my own house inside our old shop building up there as sort of a test run to see what it would, if it would work as employee housing. It worked out so well that the farm said, well, if it works for you, let's keep this ball rolling. And that's when we reached out to Rick and Cody to see if they would help us.
So Ben and I work for Villicus Farms, and we've been here the whole month, putting these two together. And that one's gonna be an office for the farm staff, and then this one's gonna be housing for farmers.
So you're building your own home in your off season, so that you'll have a place, you and your girlfriend will have a place to live.
You got it, yeah. I'm salaried up at the farm, so this is just like a month of work for me. While it's so slow up there, there's not a ton going on. We can come down here and bust out these 2 houses.
The way we heat our homes primarily is radiant floor heating. We custom make most of our things because we're tiny and it's not really designed. So like the barn doors, we're standing in this doorway here. We custom make our barn doors. We do everything in-house from start to finish. So we take it from a foundation all the way to the finished product. We do all of the work. We're able to make a difference through this business. I literally get calls every single day of the week about people that want one of these tiny homes. This is absolutely a solution to the housing crisis that we currently find ourselves in.
What do you love about Montana?
Oh, what is there not to love about Montana? If I never have to leave the state again, I will be good with that. I love the mountains. I love the snow. I love being able to chase elk in the rut in the middle of September with my bow. I love being able to raise my kids in a place that I don't fear for them at any level.
Mountains. I love the fact that there's only a couple million people in the state. Yeah, like the outdoors, fishing and hunting.
And you're from Oregon.
And I'm from Oregon.
What brings Oregonians to Montana?
Politics.
So that's Woodland Ridge, and in fact, I'll put that up there again for you so you can see. That's how you get a hold of them. I'm going to run it real quick, like to the very end there. And but Rick said it all.
Politics.
That's the number right there, and their email address. And great people doing some great things. And no, that's not a solution for some people. It's going to be a little higher price than some want to pay, but they're thinking. And like Cody said, that is freeing up housing. And here, that's why we're still living in Airbnb. Housing is very expensive, and it's very hard to find because there are fewer houses than there are in Oregon in a metropolitan area. So anyway, tomorrow later this week, we're going to be talking to some folks with this trucking convoy that's going back to Washington, D.C. from Oregon. There's a country music singer from Estacada, Jessie Lay, and she's going to be talking with us. I'm going to do an interview with her tomorrow, but it'll be on Wednesday. And also one of the organizers behind it, Kip, is going to be with us as well, kind of explaining what that is. In fact, Jessie's going to be calling us again. We'll be coming on again later to tell us what she saw and what that was about, that kind of thing for her. Tomorrow is our Elements of a Healthy Lifestyle, and going to be interviewing a young woman who really changed her life and made a difference in that. And Kim will be joining us with some tips on how to stay healthier. Bill London will be here with all your day's news. And what else do we have coming up this week? And next week, Dr. Michael Bratlin's going to be joining us, and that should be entertaining. He's going to tell us why he's doing the things that he does and why he gets involved in politics despite everything. You know, that's the thing you learn. And I think I'm learning even more being here in Montana is it's really standing up for what you believe in, whether people like it or not. And really not being in people's faces, but also not worrying when they say you're trying to incite this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to instigate that, because that's one of the things they use when you start hitting a nerve and you start bringing up topics that people don't like, that the collective narrative is opposed to. But when did we ever live in a state that we live in like right now, where you can't even talk about certain things? Because people will discount you, will cancel you, will throw you away. That's not Oregon. Do you know Jessie Lee? That's funny. Yeah, she is awesome, isn't she, Jason? She's going to be joining us. I can't decide whether I'm going to have time for her tomorrow. It'll probably end up on Wednesday, but I'm interviewing her tomorrow at noon, your time. So anyway, yeah. And she just said, God told me I'm supposed to go, so she's going. So well, there you go. You can't argue with God. Thanks for being with us tonight. Again, if you're looking for tiny houses, Woodland, they service the whole Pacific Northwest. So get a hold of them and find out more. You won't be buying a piece of crap. You're buying a nice house. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Hey, share this on your page so other people can see it. We really appreciate when you do that. All right. Oh, and one other thing. We're getting calls like crazy. But if you're someone who would like to get a little notoriety and sponsor what we do. The last month in January, the previous month, we reached 276,655 accounts. Those are our numbers right there on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn, but we're getting some real good numbers. And if you are needing some marketing and advertising, we just may be the great thing for you. And all of our customers, all of our clients support what we do, which is give people a voice. We don't care if you agree with other people or not, but we do believe you have a voice. And so we try to give that to people. And that's where we get most of our sponsorship. So if you're in the market for some marketing, let us know. All right. Again, our show tonight was brought to you by Chris Dental Family Dentistry, where everyone is welcome. Priority One Heating and Air Conditioning, where if they'll put the warmth in your home in the winter and they'll cool you down in the summer. And Trans World Business Advisors, Lonnie Woodruff, the Dream Maker, the guy who can help you sell your business, or if you're tired of the rat race, he can help you find a way out. I'm Rick Dancer. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow right here, 5 o'clock Oregon time, 6 my time.